is the help video for the take-home quiz for lessons 3.1 to 3.4. You should complete this quiz to the best of your ability. Use colors as you choose. When you finish, you should go back with a red pen and check your work using the online answers. Write a note of correction if you get something wrong. This is worth 20 homework points, a double homework. 15 points for completing every problem and showing work in detail. And you must use both a compass and constructions for your constructions. You're going to get 5 points just for correcting in red pen and writing your notes. Taking a look here for lesson 3.1. You should first go back and quickly review your reference booklet on those pages. After doing so, keep those pages handy. Number one, you're going to classify the triangles by their sides and by their angles. So first, you go through and you analyze the sides. And you're going to look at this list here in your booklet and write down what that's going to be called. And then go through and analyze the angles. And for the angles, you look at this list right here and you name what it's going to be called. Again, analyze by the sides and then by the angles. Stop this video and then do your work. Restart when you're finished. For these ones, you're going to find the measure of all possible angles. You're going to keep in mind, you're going to watch out for linear pairs, which share a spine, make a line, and add up to 180. You're going to watch out for those vertical angles or bow tie angles. Keep track the fact that triangles themselves add up to 180. You need to remember that the exterior angle equals to the sum of the two remote interiors. And also for the next page, that if you have two equal sides, you have two equal angles. On that note, taking a look at this one, you always want to start with what's called the low-hanging fruit, which is the really easy stuff. So I'm going to go like this. Sweep two angles here. And if you have two angles, you should easily be able to get that third squiggle angle. Then watch out for the linear pair and work it from there. You finish that one on your own. For this, let's sweep what we have here. We have an exterior angle, and then we have the two remote interior angles. So you need to remember this, the exterior angle, so I'm just going to write EX angle, is equal to the sum of those two remote interior angles. These do not add up to 180 because this is dealing with the exterior angle. Once you solve for x, make sure you go back and find all possible angles. For lesson 3.2, that's triangle inequality and isosceles triangles. You should take a moment and review this section in your reference booklet. It says in number 3, in triangle PQR, the measure of angle P is 40, the measure of angle Q is 120, and the measure of angle R is 20. You want to draw PQR and order the sides from the shortest to the longest. Take a moment and try to draw that triangle yourself. Try to use draw to scale. Okay, if you're going to draw this to scale, the smallest angle, angle R, should have gone here. R, and that's going to be 20 degrees. And then Q is your largest angle, so we're going to put Q here, and that's 120 degrees. And then P is your middle angle, that's going here, 40 degrees. And then you order your sides from shortest to longest. So we're going short long. And I'm only going to do one, you do the other. The smallest angle is across from the shortest side. So your shortest side here has to be P to Q. You do the other two. Pause the video, do the other two. For number 4, it says determine the range of possible values of x so that a triangle is created. Well, we know that when three numbers are a valid triangle, you can do eyebrow, eyebrow, smiley, and all three combinations work that are known as monkey face. So what we're doing here is eyebrow, eyebrow, smiley, but with a variable. So you're going to write your three variations here. The first one is you have to do 12 plus 15 is greater than x. Second variation, 15 plus x is greater than 12. Last variation, 12 plus x must be greater than 15. For all three of these, you solve for x, and then you're going to make your range. X is going to be greater than something and less than something else. Number 5. Again, it's find all possible angles. Remember to watch out for if you have two equal sides. You have two equal arms, two equal elbows. Watch out for exterior angles, triangles add up to 180, bow ties, and linear pairs. I'm only going to start these. Most important thing I'd like you to do for these diagrams. Ready? Let's darken these hatch marks. Darken that hatch mark. Now I'd like you to draw the arrows that point down into the angles that are equal. Sweep, hatch, sweep, hatch. Those are the two angles that are equal for that triangle. This triangle here, we're going to darken the hatch marks again. Ready? Follow those down. Draw the two little arrows. Sweep, sweep. These are equal. The other thing I want you to watch out for is, of course, if there's a 90 degrees here. Be very careful that you don't miss out on the linear pairs that add up to 180 and your exterior angles. Go ahead and solve for all possible angles there. Stop the video, solve. All right, students, welcome back. Let's look on the right-hand side. Right one again. Start by darkening the hatch marks. I'd like you to follow those arrows down. And now mark the two corners that are going to be congruent. Over here, darken the hatch marks. Draw your elbow arrows and mark the two angles that are going to be congruent. A couple things I want you to watch out for again. Watch out for your bow ties. And watch out for linear pairs. Find all possible angles. Number 6. Triangle JOY is an obtuse isosceles triangle with O as the vertex. Trace, sweep, and label the following angles. Angle JOY is 19x minus 14. Angle OYJ is 40, and angle YJO YJO is 6x plus 4. Draw a diagram, find all values of x. The only thing I'm going to give you here is the fact that it is an isosceles obtuse. So obtuse means an angle bigger than 90, and isosceles means two equal sides, and O is the vertex. The rest you must label yourself, solve for the value of x, and find the measure of all possible angles. For lesson 3.3, you have the triangle guts you want to go through for the video and check for that, triangle guts. In number 7, in the triangle below, the medians are drawn. The medians are drawn. And the centroid is given. Find the requested information. So keep in mind, if these are medians, this is a midpoint and B is a midpoint. And that makes P a centroid, which gives us a 2-to-1 ratio. We're asked to find P to A. So trace P to A, it's right there. If you were given that Y to A, which is all the way, is 7.5. So remember our thing equation first. We know that Y to A is going to equal P to A plus P to Y, which is, excuse me, let me keep my color straight here. My Y to A is the green. Now, we're only giving information for the green and the pink, so we're going to translate the blue to a pink. We know YP equals 2 of PA. We know the blue is twice as big as the pink. So we can replace that in our thing equation. We know YA equals PA plus 2 PA. So now let's circle plug chug. We know YA is 7.5. We don't know PA, but we do know we have 3 of them. We have 3 times PA. So to solve, you just solve for the variable. If that PA bothers you, you can say it like this. 7.5 equals 3 times our unknown, which we're just going to call x. I think you can take it from there. So once again, on the quiz, learn to do a thing equation before you do the algebra. In number 7, the medians are drawn again, so these are midpoints. And P is the centroid. We're going to find the requested information. We are told XP is 7x minus 1. So let's trace that. X to P, we're going to make blue. X to P, that's going to be 7x minus 1. And we know X to Q, which is this whole thing, is 9x plus 3. We are missing this piece right there. So let's make our thing equation. We know that that red segment, x to q, equals the blue segment, which is x to p, plus the green segment, which is p to q. We okay so far? We have information for these two, but we don't have information for PQ. So we're going to redefine PQ here. We know PQ equals half of PX, or XP. Let me keep my letters straight. In other words, the green is half of the blue. Knowing this, we can replace this for the green. So we have this. We have XQ equals XP and 1/2 XP. Ready? Okay. XO is going to be 9x plus 3 equals XP, which is 7x minus 1, plus 1/2 7x minus 1. All right, do not freak out. You can see if we distribute that half, we're going to end up with a bunch of fractions or decimals. Most of you freak out with that. Don't. There's a real simple fix to this. We want to get rid of that half. The easiest way to do that, rather than distributing the half, which is your first instinct, you don't ever have to distribute a fraction. We're going to get rid of it right off the bat. The way we're going to do that is you multiply this entire equation by a big fat 2. We're going to make sure we distribute it to all of them. So draw your distributive lines. Don't freak out. It's okay. Make sure here. And for this, we stop at our distributive at the half, because once we cancel that, what's left in the parentheses doesn't get touched. Ready? Now we're going to end up with 18x plus 6 equals 2 times 7, that's 14x, minus 1 times 2, which is 2, plus this cancels because the 2 times 1/2 cancels it completely. You end up with 7x minus 1. From here, you simply collect like terms. Solve for x and find everything that you can. Pause the video and do that work. Welcome back. In number 8, in the triangles below, the angle bisector is drawn. Find the value of all possible angles after finding the value of x. So right here, this is not a median, it's an angle bisector. So the very first thing we do is we draw that bisector, we sweep, we hatch, we hatch. Now we're going to do a thing equation here. We know that the measure, let me just trace it here. The measure of angle 1 is going to equal, in this case, the measure of angle 2. Use that. There's your angle 2 right there. Here's your angle 1 right there. Use that to circle, plug, chug, solve for x, find all possible angles. In this one, again, we have an angle bisector, so it goes like so. But this time we're given TRS, so we're going to trace TRS, that whole thing is congruent, but that measure of that whole thing is also 4x plus 4. That's the whole thing. We are given the measure of angle 2, which I have in green, as being x plus 12. And we want to find the measure of angle 1. Problem is, we have nothing there. But again, we're going to do a thing equation first. I'll help you with it. Ready? We know that large red angle, the measure of angle TRS, equals the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2. Now, use a thing equation to solve for x and then find all possible angle measures. .4 triangle coordinate proofs. You want to review this page real quick. You just want to think logically what midpoint, slope, and distance show. So it's right here. It says if you wanted to show that triangle XJH, that's this triangle here, XJH, and we wanted to show that it was isosceles, what would you use? Your hint is this. Isosceles means you have two congruent side lengths. Lengths. Ask yourself which one of these three, distance, midpoint, or slope, would help you find the lengths of the sides. Next one asks, if you wanted to show that XJH is not a right triangle. Now, it's obvious it's not a right triangle, but again, this is all about proving mathematically. Ask yourself what a right triangle has that other triangles don't. A right triangle has a right angle. In order to have a right angle, you must have perpendicular lines. So ask yourself this, which equation, perpendicular, which equation would help you demonstrate that you have no perpendicular lines in this diagram? Would that be a distance, a midpoint, or a slope concept? Okay, if we wanted to show that the altitude drawn from the point J to side XH, so from J, XH, altitude means you have a right angle, is also a median. Which equation would you use? Now, median means that you're going from a vertex to a midpoint. So if you wanted to show that that altitude also is a median, which equation would you use? Right here, we have triangle EHB. EHB. And we want to classify that triangle either as scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. Use slope, midpoint, or distance to prove your point. Well, ask yourself what scalene, isosceles, and equilateral mean. Why don't you write that out real quick right above it. Scalene, no equal sides. Isosceles, 2 equal sides. Equilateral, 3 equal sides. Now, ask yourself a secondary question. Dealing with whether or not the sides are equal length, is that a slope issue which gives you tilt? Is it a distance issue which would give you length? Or is it a midpoint issue which helps you find bisect or the middle of something? You wanted to prove that it's scalene, isosceles, or equilateral. Which one of those three would you choose? Circle it now. you should have circled distance, because scaling isosceles and equilateral is all about length. So what you're going to do here is you're going to find the distance of all 3 points. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you get your coordinates correctly. And E is 1, 2, 3. E is -3, +2. H is -1, +4. V again is -1, +1. Then you want to find your distances from E to H. You're going to use the distance equation, so you write a template. Then you want to find your distance H to V, again using a template. Then you want to find your distance E to V. Once you find all 3 distances, you want to summarize what those numbers show you. For this last page, because it's construction, I'm going to be doing a separate video so you can actually see the compass constructions. Make sure you access the additional video.